All right, here we go, 8185 review. Let's just get right after it. Number 1 and number 2 both deal with the special right triangles. So the very first one here is the 30, 60, 90. So when I look at what we're given the short leg, all right, aka the baby. Well, to go from the short leg to the hypotenuse, the longest leg, the rule is you just multiply by 2. So it looks like x equals 4. And to go to the longer leg, or the freak, or the middle, you're basically just multiplying by radical 3. So this one is simply going to be 2 radical 3. All right, number 2, we have the 45, 45, 90. And since they're both 45, it's isosceles. Those two should be identical. So y is 4. And then the rule on this one is the hypotenuse is always the leg times radical 2. So the correct answer here would be 4 radical 2. Number 3 and number 4, kind of same idea. But this time we want to go backwards. So this time they give me what's across from the 60. So to go back to the shortest side, I need to divide by radical 3. So I have 3 radical 3 divided by radical 3, which basically they just cancel out. I just end up with 3. And then I need to double it, and I will get 6. So there are my two answers, 3 and 6. On this one, they give me the hypotenuse, and it's a 45, 45, 90. So to go backwards, I need to divide by the square root of 3. So when I'm doing that, and either way, they're both going to be the same. So when I do 5 divided by the square root of 2, I think I might have said 3, but square root of 2, some teachers let you leave it that way. I'm normally fine, but I do want you to know how to rationalize the denominator. You're not supposed to have a radical in the denominator. It's not considered simplified, but it's an easy fix. You simply multiply by that radical over itself, which is really just 1. And when I multiply straight across, I get 5 times the square root of 2 all over 2. And then I would check to see if I can do 5 over 2 and reduce that, but I cannot. So both of these answers are going to be 5 radical 2 over 2, because we wanted simplest form. All right, number 5 and number 6. This one, I have the smallest side, and I need to go to the longer leg, so I need to times by radical 3. So I have square root of 2 over 2 times radical 3, which if I want I can just put a 1 under it, so I have something to multiply by. And square root of 2 times square root of 3 is the square root of 6 over 2, and I am done. I cannot break down the square root of 6 anymore. To go this direction from the smallest side to the hypotenuse, I double it. So this one is just going to be 2 times radical 2 over 2. And those 2's cancel out, and I end up with just the square root of 2. Number 6. This one, they give me the longest side is 20. So to get, this is the hypotenuse. To get the shortest side, I just chop it in half. I get 10. And then to get the freak, or the middle side, I times that by radical 3. And boom, we are done. All right, so then we get into, where am I at here? I went too far. So then we got number 7. Number 7 is I have the middle side, I have the tougher side. So I always want to go to the baby. And to go that way, I'm just going to divide by radical 3. And so I'm going to have 2 radical 3 over radical 3, which they cancel. So I just end up with 2. And then I got to double the 2, which is pretty easy. I just get 4. Number 8. Find the area of an equilateral triangle with a side length of 16. So equilateral, side length 16. So equilateral triangle. And I know that those are 60, 60, 60. And it has a side length of 16. Well, I need to get the height. You know, area of a triangle, any triangle, is 1/2 base times height. And I got the base. The base is right there. So I have 1/2 times 16, but I need the height. So let's drop a height down here. And the nice thing is, it split me into a nice little 30, 60, 90, which I can use my ratios. So there's the shortest leg, which is 8. And so I have the hypotenuse side, the short leg, and then the height is just going to be 8 square root of 3. So I'm using my rules. So 8 square root of 3 is now the height. And now we should be able to handle this. 1/2 of 16 is 8. 8 times 8 is 64 times the square root of 3. We're all good. All right. So now we keep going. Now we get into trig. So now we are entering, this would be section 8.3. And we're not solving anything. All we're doing is learning how to set up the right ratio. So cosine of x. X is where I want to put my guy. So there's my guy. Cosine tells me I need to do adjacent on hypotenuse. So according to my guy, this is the adjacent leg and this is the hypotenuse. So I need to do 20 over 29, which looks like it is going to be answer A. Number 10, the tangent of z. Well, tangent is opposite over adjacent. My guy needs to stand on z. So opposite is right across from me. Adjacent leg is right next to me. The hypotenuse is actually on the bottom because it's across from the 90 and it's the biggest side. So opposite over adjacent would be 16 over 30. I don't see that as a choice, but they reduce it down. You know, if you divide by 2 for both pieces, you will get 8 over 15. The correct answer there is B. Be really careful how you label it, because this is not a leg, it's the hypotenuse because it's across from 90. That triangle tricks people, so be careful. Number 11 and 12, find the missing side. So now we've entered into section 8.4. If you're struggling with 8.4, watch these two examples. So first step is, I want to put so I'm going to kind of write these down. Step 1, put your guy on the angle. So they give me 40 degrees, that's where my guy goes. Step 2 is you need to label H, O, and A, whichever two you have. So I have the opposite side, and I need the adjacent side. So there's no sense in writing hypotenuse. I'm not interested in that. So now, step 3 is I need to choose which one to use. SOH, CAH, or TOA. And since I have O and A, I need to use TOA. So tangent. So here we go. Tangent. When standing on 40 degrees, your angle always comes after the trig name. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now, don't get in the habit of trying to figure out, do I multiply, do I divide? Just put a 1 under there and cross multiply, and it'll tell you what to do. 1 times 14 is 14. X times the tangent of 40. Well, I don't have x by itself yet. I want to get x all alone. So I need to do the opposite of times tangent of 40. So I need to divide by tan 40 and divide by the tangent of 40. So I punch in my calculator. 14 divided by tan 40, and you should get 16.68. Now, if you get some weird negative number, check your mode. You might be in radian mode. You want to be in degree mode. It says round to the nearest tenth, which is 1 decimal. So this one is actually going to get rounded to 16.7. Number 12, same thing. Go a little quicker on this one. I get my guy on the angle given. Label, adjacent, hypotenuse. Oh man, this one is going to be a cosine problem. This is CAH. So the cosine, when standing on 34 degrees, is adjacent on top of hypotenuse. Slap a 1 under there, cross multiply. This one I already have x by myself, so this one is going to be easier. It's just 11 times the cosine of 34 degrees. I don't need to divide anything because I already have x by itself. So 11 times cosine of 34 is, somebody call 911, 9.119. So when I want to round it, we're just going to call that 9.1. Bam, done. Keep on moving. 13, 14, couple more. Actually, just one more. So this is the last problem from 8.4. Put your guy here. Label it. Opposite hypotenuse. Hey, we haven't used sine yet, so we're going to use sine. The sine, when standing on 44 degrees, is opposite on top of hypotenuse. Slap a 1 under it. Cross multiply. Cross multiply. Oh crap, x isn't by itself. That means we got to get it by itself, so we got to do some division. We got to divide those two apart. Boom. 10 divided by sine of 44. 14.395. That's enough. We're going to call it 14.4. So that was all 8.4. We were trying to find a missing side. Now we're going to need to use the inverse because we need to find a missing angle. So if you're following in your notes, this is where you should jump into 8.5 to help you out with these. Everything's the same till the very end. So I'll show you when we get to that point. So we need to find the question mark. A lot of times in trig, they'll call this theta, but it doesn't really matter. We can call it question mark. We can call it theta. But I put my guy on the angle I'm looking for. This is the opposite leg. This is the hypotenuse. So it looks like we have another sine problem on our hands. So the sine, when standing on, I don't know, is opposite on top of hypotenuse. Now, we don't know the angle, so I can't punch in sine of 30 degrees because I don't know what it is. So that's when I need to use the inverse. So I need to go sine negative 1 and then put 9 divided by 12 in parentheses. That should tell me how many degrees that is. So second sine and then 9 divided by 12 in parentheses equals, it looks like it is 48.59 degrees, aka 48.6, but they said, wait, go to the nearest degree. So I lied. It's 49 degrees. Done. Next. Number 15, 16. Boom, boom, boom. Guy at the angle we need. Label it. We have opposite. We have adjacent. Who cares about the hypotenuse? So this is a job for TOA. Tan. Tan's the man. Don't know where I'm standing. I do know the ratio. And I got to do the inverse. So it's going to be the inverse of this ratio is going to tell me, it's going to be programmed in the old calculator, what angle made that ratio. So second tan, 29 divided by 44 is, boom, 33.38. We'll call that 33 degrees. Beautiful. Next one. Oh man, this one's kind of weird. Put my guy here. I don't know theta, but I got all of them. I got opposite. I got adjacent. I got hypotenuse. When you have all three, choose whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use tangent. I just used it. I like tangent. So I'm just going to say the tangent of I don't know is opposite over adjacent. If you want to use cos or sine, go ahead. But I got to do the inverse here to finish this up. So the tangent of that divided by that. Let's just pop it in there. Oh, I'm going fast. I hope I don't make any mistakes, but sometimes when I go this fast, I do. I'm trying to beat the bell. So 86.09. And usually if I take my time, and that does not, that seems awful big. You know, when I do my BS meter, and I'm like, wait a minute, and I go here and I punt and I say, well, how in the world, if that's 86 degrees, that could only be 4 degrees. And that doesn't seem right. You know, those are way, that triangle doesn't look like it's that skinny. So let's see what happened. Maybe I punched it in wrong. Crap, I did punch it in wrong. I punched in 44 divided by just 3. I missed the 33. See, that's why your BS meter, it kind of helps. Tan negative 1, 44 divided by 33 equals, that looks a little better. 53 degrees. Much better. I feel good about that. I pull my little BS meter out. 53 degrees, that means you're 37 degrees. You're across from you, you're across from you, you're the biggest. Hey, everything looks good. That looks more normal to me. So BS meter can save you from getting a B when you should have got an A. Last problem, number 17. Find the area of the triangle. Well, this triangle, first thing is, it's kind of laid out kind of weird. So if you don't mind, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to rotate, or I'm going to reflect this thing over this line. So I'm going to reflect it over that line and flip it up so that I have this going on. Now, this step was not completely necessary, but sometimes I like to do this. So that's the same triangle. To me, it's just easier to look at because now I know that to find the area of this triangle, this is the base, and this over here is going to be the height. Because I know when I do the area formula, I need to figure out the area is 1/2 the base times the height. So we got our work cut out for us. We don't have crap. We don't have anything. So I'm going to just make this my own problem. And instead of calling that x, I'm going to call it what it is. You are the base, and you are the height. So I don't know. Let's get after the base first. So my guy is going to stand at 24 degrees. And when I label this thing, you're the opposite, you are the adjacent, and you are the hypotenuse. Well, if I want to get the base, if I want to get B, I need to use adjacent and hypotenuse. So that's cosine. So the cosine, when standing on 24 degrees, is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And let's solve for it. Let's get this B. So 1 times B is B. Beautiful. I got them by itself. Be careful. Do not do cos 24 times 16 because I don't want you to get some big old number. So I want you to go 16 times the cos of 24. And let's just see what that is. 16 cos 24 is about 14.6. So man, that's pretty sweet. I now know what my base is. It is 14.6. So I can go up here in my formula and I have 1/2 times 14.6. And now we got to get after the height. We got to work on that. So I'm going to use my same setup, except for now I see that the height is my opposite, And I'm going to use my hypotenuse again. So opposite and hypotenuse is sine. You could use Pythagorean theorem right now if you want to, but because we got 2 out of 3, but I like trig. Sine of 24 degrees is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Slap a 1 under there. Sweet, I got h all alone. 16 times, getting ahead of myself here, getting a little too fast. 16 times the sine of 24. 16 times sine of 24. 6.5-ish. Roughly. So I got the height. The height is 6.5. And let's jam all that crap into the calculator. Let's just put him to work. 0.5 times 14.6 times 6.5. Looks like 47.45. I don't know what the units are, so I'm going to just say unit squared. Because it might be inches, feet, miles, who knows. All right, man, the quiz tomorrow is going to be shorter than that, but there will be the same sprinkle of problems. And it's probably going to be multiple choice, just to help you out a little bit. See you.